is press record with the boys. Can't be good at everything, mate.
No, that's it.
Right, we're going to get this going. I'm going to click live and give us a countdown, and then we're going to be live.
Sorted.
I'm just going to check on my phone that it comes through. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, how are we doing? Happy Friday. So I thought to finish what has been a great week of interviewing some amazing guys, we've got an amazing guy coming in on board to talk about his journey, his process. I'm sat here with my laptop on a washing basket and a fishing tackle box to make sure it's up as high as it can. Look, I'm just going to show you this to give you a little indication of what's going on here. Look, that's my setup. Nothing technical there. We've got a hyperactive 3-year-old. My end. You've got, what have you got? A 6 and an 8-year-old, did you say?
Five and 8-year-old boys. So expect screaming and fighting.
So you've been bribing them with the chocolates and the sweets as well.
Absolutely, endless supply.
So we are good to go. So listen, Si, just want to introduce. Can you introduce yourself? Just your age, your job, your location. Where are you, and how you know me?
Yeah, so 43 years old. Work in a corporate. Done pretty well business wise. Live around sort of West Berkshire way. I came across, I believe, the 5-day challenge on Facebook, probably around, I think it was around November time.
Okay.
And just took off from there basically.
Great. Okay.
And I'm now in the brotherhood, the mastermind.
You're in the mastermind with us now, aren't you? Okay, great. So before we go into this, so I think you would have done the last one before Christmas, right? Where I think it was the last week in November, and then you started the program in February, you want to say, end of January, February?
That's right. There was a little couple of weeks gap, and then we started on the 28-day, yeah. Yeah,
that's right. So just as a quick side thing already, what made you join up the 5-day?
I think what made me join up the 5-day was, and you use this phrase a lot, life just sort of like punching me in the face. And not so much it was punching me in the face, I was kind of letting it punch me in the face, if that makes sense.
Walking in the fist.
If I look at, like, I'd walk in from work, I'd be a bit grumpy, a bit grouchy, I'd put on a bit of weight. You get into a habit of like having a glass of wine in the evenings, and then at the weekends you're not operating at your best. As we said, I've got 2 boys. I'm really lucky. I've got a really, really lovely family. Yeah. I'm really lucky in that respect. But I just felt, to use your phrase as well, I wasn't really being the best version of me. And I just thought, there's got to be more to this. If I look back to when I was in my 20s and 30s, I just had more of that kind of zest for life, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I get it. Like the beast, releasing the beast inside of us all, I think is key. So listen, I've got a first question for you. So what would you say in your life was your worst chapter? And kind of like, what did that look like from the outside?
I think, as I say, I'm in a really sort of fortunate position in that I've got a lovely family, I've got a great support network, and all the rest of it. So I haven't really got like a real worst chapter. When I look at what Mike was talking about, what Duncan was talking about, what Matt's been talking about, the stuff that they're dealing with, just amazing and absolutely inspirational. Yeah. For me, it was more, I've always done really well, but I sort of looked in the mirror and I'm probably about 4 stone overweight. I've now lost a couple of stone, and I just felt like I just genuinely wasn't happy, but I wasn't unhappy with my circumstance.
No, I get it.
I was unhappy with me.
Your perception of yourself.
Exactly, and I knew that's what I had to change, because I just wasn't really being the best version of me. And sometimes I look back, some of the conversations you have, I think, crikey, if that was me 15 years ago, pre pre-kids and mortgage and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
I would have dealt with that completely differently. So I just kind of wanted to get the old me back.
Yeah,
that
get
makes
it.
sense.
So what did the old you look like?
A lot more healthier, a lot fitter, a lot more happy-go-lucky,
Yeah.
a lot more driven, a lot more having, but by being busier, having a lot more time for other people as well, which, like, for me as a bloke, is really important, right? Like, I like looking after people and supporting people, and that's my operating mode, really. And I felt like I just let things grind me down a bit too much.
Okay. So when did you get married?
Got married, be 10 years this year.
So 33 years old. You're
Yep.
about 33. So kids, so you're going back there. So about 30. So they come about 2 years after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Got married. Yeah, wife fell pregnant 5 months. 5 months in, yeah, moved into a new house, etc.
Yeah.
Had quite a stressful job. I was finance director at the time.
Okay.
So I think there was one point I was working probably about 16 hours a day, and one night I came home and my wife said to me, "Oh, you're home at you're home at 9 o'clock. It's good to have you home early so we can eat together." And I thought, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Like 9 o'clock at night.
I get that, because one of my best friends is a financial advisor, so I get how hard he pushes all the time. He doesn't even fucking listen to me, so I get that. So quite interesting. It's quite interesting how we go through our 20s, and this is how I see the timeline of many men. And what tends to happen is that in our 20s, we tend to live the life that we want to live, you know, in terms of freedom, sports, in terms of value to ourselves, you know, and that time to ourselves. And then we hit our 30s, and then what we tend to do is find a relationship, and we tend to find that relationship, and then suddenly we become focused on that relationship. Then suddenly we're talking about marriage, then we're talking about children, then we're in a job position with our careers where that career that you never really thought that was going to be your dream career, you end up being stuck in, because then suddenly you have responsibilities and pressures, in terms of those pressures are overwhelming because of the responsibility. You have put self-pressure on yourself in terms of carrying that weight. We talked about this with Duncan yesterday.
Yeah.
That's self-pressure. Then once you're having the kids, responsibility of keeping everyone, keeping a wife, trying to look after yourself, but it's not quite happening. Would you say that timeline's something that you fell into? So when you talked about putting that weight on, I think, did you say 4 stone overweight?
Yeah, I reckon I got up to about 4 stone overweight. Yeah.
So would you say that came as a result of drinking, eating stuff, and coping, and those type of coping mechanisms in terms of piling on that weight and never really doing the exercise? Is that fair to say, or is there another reason that you would say it happened?
No, I think that's absolutely fair to say, and I think what happens is it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? So there's always that extra early morning meeting. So then you start skipping breakfast, and then you're working through your lunch. So you're probably eating the wrong things through lunch. Then before you know it, you're having a takeaway for dinner or something. You're not eating the right stuff. You're getting home late, and everything just gets into this spiral. And I think it's very easy, and I think it must resonate with a lot of people, that all of a sudden a bad week, a bad day can become a bad week, can become a bad month. And then before you know it, you're always thinking, well, next month I'm going to sort this out. Oh, well, it's Christmas, or, oh, it's summer holidays now, you know, and it keeps spiraling.
That's the interesting thing about excuses and distractions and convincing ourselves and our brain and our mind that we don't have to start now. And I think what we do is we go, I'm going to start on Monday next week. I mean, because what we want to do is ease the guilt to ourselves that we don't actually face the truth that, God, I'm getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And actually, ironically, on the JB show, I was talking about a guy that I used to train called John, and he was a construction worker, and he he had lived a particular type of life with a particular specific type of commitment to himself, which was zero commitment to himself. And, you know, that lifestyle became habit, routine, it became the way of living, you know, and we had to work super hard to be able to change that. And he got to a point where he never wanted to take his kids swimming. You know, he didn't want to take his t-shirt off because he felt ashamed of the way he looked in the mirror. And that's not stuff that we talk about as men. That's not pub talk. That's not five-a-side football talk that we want to share with people, right?
Yes.
Which is what I'm trying, the culture that I'm trying to change is that, like, it's okay to talk about it. You know, whatever position we're in, there is never going to be a right time to start to change. There's never going to be a right time. There's always going to be something, you know, whether it's job orientated, relationship orientated, state of mind orientated. Is that something you would agree with?
100%. And I think state of mind, I think that's a big one, in that we all know the brain is a powerful tool, right? But often it powerfully works against us. So it's very easy for small excuses to start manifesting, and small excuses just to sort of creep in, and you sort of think, well, oh, it's going to be a busy day tomorrow, I won't do that bit of exercise, or oh, I've got a bit of niggle on my foot, so, you know, I won't do a workout, and all the rest of it. But actually those excuses are just kind of manifestations in your brain, and they're not true.
So how did you feel emotionally? So I would probably say that your worst period was when you were piling on the weight. Like, no one likes to pile on the weight, right? How do you think you fell into that trap? Talk us through that. Talk us through the triggers, and talk us through maybe the work-life balance, maybe the coping mechanisms, and maybe the state of mind at the time. What it kind of picture, you know, I think it's important to talk about this, because many people will go through this. And what I'm trying to do is for people to raise their awareness, to then suddenly go, I'm not the only one.
So I think, honestly, I fell into the trap. You fall into the trap without realising you've fallen into the trap, and I think sometimes as blokes, we don't always admit to ourselves how we're like really feeling.
Yeah.
So you just keep going, and also when when you grow up a certain way, right? So I grew up playing rugby, like a beer after rugby, and all the rest of it. So those sort of things, you keep that old mindset and that old mentality that you've just got to keep going. You've got to keep going to go to work, to feed your family, to be successful, and all the rest of it. And I think the key is, now you ask the question, really, is you don't actually just suddenly take a step back and go, whoa, what's going on here? You know, you need to sort it out, sort of thing. So I think it's, you fall into a trap without being aware, and it's just taking some time to step back and assess the situation. And the thing that really hit the nail on the head for me was, and I'm sure you'll come to it, is when you start to do your self-audit and your scoring and stuff like that.
We'll come on to that in a second. What stopped you getting out of that rut sooner? Why did it get so bad for so long?
I think it just total lack of awareness. I think you get so consumed in what you think is the right thing to do. Like, you think it's the right thing to do to push for a promotion. Duncan mentioned it before when he said, you know, if his boss said something was good and not excellent, he'd beat himself up. And you know, I'm very similar. You know, where I am, I have to be the top performer. I have to be the best.
Why do you have to be?
Traditionally, beforehand, that's kind of what you have conditioned into you growing up.
Growing up with mum and dad.
Yeah, just mates environment, school environment, all the rest of it. Like, you want to be the best, but and I think there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't just be the best in one area. So while being the best at business is absolutely brilliant,
Yeah.
you can't let the other areas of your life go. And I'm more at a stage now where I still want to be the best in business, and I really enjoy doing what I do.
Yeah.
But I want to bring all the other areas like around that with me, and just be more of a rounded person, I guess.
So here's a question. During the time that you were consuming too much food and too much alcohol and piling on that weight, pushing for the promotion, would you say that mentality that you just had there would have had an effect on your mental well-being, would have played on you all that time, in terms of maybe that's why, because you felt that you weren't being the best? So in terms of, instead of focusing on yourself, you were just obliged to go down that path, and you put the blinkers on to the rest of your life, and it's just one track vision, one tracked path that you headed down. And as a result, you didn't even probably notice that you were piling on that weight until you looked in the mirror one day.
Oh, subconsciously, yeah. And I think then, like, a lot of it's subconscious. So you don't realise you're being a bit of a grumpy git, or you're being a bit short, or you're being a bit snappy, or you're not as generous with your time as you could be, because you get all consumed in everything else that's going on around you. And I think for a lot of people, particularly for me, when you're in it, when you're in that bubble, it's very difficult to recognise that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I find massively. So when we do the 5-day challenges, the life audit, we're going to go on to that life audit now. That's usually people's first stepping stone to suddenly realizing where they are in their life. To suddenly, when someone suddenly asks you to score yourself out of 10 in your health, so underneath health is mental well-being, your physical well-being, your nutrition, all of those parts of health, your business, your career, your work-life balance, your relationships with your children, your wife, sex life, and your personal development, the way that you conduct yourself and grow. When you suddenly have to score yourself and you can't find a reason to put a score higher than 3 or 4 or 5, that's when people look at it and go, fuck, like, I'm in trouble. What did you feel that when you did your first life audit?
The first go I had, I did it pretty quickly, and the results weren't very high, because I was thinking, well, I know they're not going to be very high. And then I went away, because I was listening to some of the podcasts you were doing. I went away and I did it a couple of days later, and the scores were equally low, but I started to really understand the scores a bit better, and think, like, it was a real wake up call, if I'm honest. It's a real sort of like wake up call. And you always have this dream in your mind about 10 years time, 15 years time. This is what life's going to be like, and this is what I'm going to do, and all the rest of it. And work-wise, I'm pretty good at planning that out.
Yeah.
But with the rest of it, I was thinking, how am I ever, being where I am today? Yeah. How am I ever going to get there? Like, I'm never going to get there unless something fundamentally changes quickly.
And would you agree that, like, if something for you, it's obviously quite personal for you to want to be the best in your field, would you say in order to do that, that you have to, in parallel, have your personal life weighed off? I don't think your personal development, your personal management, your time management, your efficiency, your routines, all of those things to go with it.
I missed the first bit of the question. Sorry, JB. Would
you say that for you to be the best in your field, which is something that that's a personal thing for you, would you say that in order to get to that, your personal management, your time and energy efficiency, your productivity, your relationships, your health, and all of those things have to be at the highest level for you to achieve those goals, to be the best version of yourself in your field?
I would say my answer now would be yes. That actually, if you're more well-rounded and you're more towards like 9, 10 out of 10 in all of those areas, you're just overall going to be a better person, aren't you?
100%. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to move on slightly here. So I want to know, so we're talking about where we polled on the way here, kind of just feeling a little bit lost. You realise you're not performing at the very best version of yourself. Now, was there one particular moment or a particular period of time that there was a turning point? Was there something that triggered you emotionally? Was there something where you was there a scare, or was there something that really just made you go, I need to square this away?
So I think there was a couple of things. Like you're sort of walking around thinking like life should be happier than this. I should be feeling happier within myself. Having said, I've got this great network around me, great family life, and all the rest of it. I felt like something should be better. I hurt my knee, so I thought I'd have to go for a knee operation back in May. Met a great consultant. The consultant was absolutely brilliant, and he said, "Si, mate, you've just got to lose a bit of weight." He thought you'd torn a ligament, medial meniscus. Actually, it's wear and tear because you're putting too much pressure on your knee. Effectively, you've got to see this as a longer term project. So that was one thing that helped. And then the other thing that helped was, I think I just came across one of your videos and then watched a few of them, and it it really kicked in from there.
Okay, all right. And in the early days, I think this is important as well. I didn't really ask the other lads here. So in the early days of you, let's say doing the 5 days, and then you did the 28-day, right? You did the 28-day with them,
straight after, yeah.
And then you come into the mastermind. Now, would you say in those early days that you felt like maybe frustrated because it wasn't moving as quickly as you want? Did it slowly become one of those things that you understood as being a long-term thing rather than a quick fix thing? Did you have more fails than win? How did you react emotionally to suddenly being challenged in terms of, we need accountability here, we need action from you, this is a no bullshit type of approach, and how did that feel for you?
So I think the first thing around like timescales, I'd already made a commitment to myself that this was a long-term thing, that this couldn't be a fad, like a 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. It had to be a long-term thing. Yeah. I think what I found at first was, and you use the word a lot, overwhelm. It's quite overwhelming. There's a lot going on. Yeah. There's a lot to think about. But one phrase that really stuck with me really is just that kind of 1% better every day. Yeah. And just taking wins wherever you can. Just even the smallest wins, get them written down, and then you just know that you're moving forward in the right direction, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed with this stuff. Like if you look at all this stuff that's out there on the market, right? There's like tons of it, absolute tons of it. And people are, they're saying like, well, keto this, or in the old days, Atkins, and, all the rest of people don't know where to go or what to do and all the rest of it. And largely, I think what this has done is brought a lot of structure and a lot of reassurance. And now, and now for me, it's more, this is like it's a lifestyle change. It's not like a short-term fad or something like that. So a lot of it was, at first I was a bit overwhelmed with the routine. I was like, how am I going to fit all this in? Yeah. But now I think so if you think mastermind, I've only been in the mastermind a couple of months or something like that. But now my routines are becoming more and more just like habit. And if I don't do them, I miss them. Yeah, of course. And the thing is the beauty is that, like I always say to you guys when you come in, it almost takes a year to become, you look at our ambassadors, it almost takes a year to become like, the beauty is that once you've got that routine, which you're starting to get now, you can suddenly then challenge yourself. You're obviously limited right now, but once normal life returns, the world's your oyster. Do you know what I mean? It's like we suddenly have this mindset where you're very ambitious, but then you can take that ambition into your personal life
and like me and Duncan were talking about, the 100 mile and the 100K, they work in alignment with each other. When you're driven on something like personal, you're driven in your professional life as well, right?
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what did you believe during that period you were in, kind of like that period where you're neglecting yourself, compared to what you believe now. Give me two things.
So two things. I would say I work a lot, operate generally a lot better under stress. So not just in a work environment, in a home environment as well. I would say I'm a lot more present, and instead of reacting quickly, I can take a breath. I'm a lot more reasonable, approachable. My wife said to me, I think I was in the 28-day challenge, and she said, "Oh, this dad camp thing's doing you like massive favours." And I was like, "Well, it's not the dad camp; it's the brotherhood, all right? It's like similar stuff." But you know, but family had already recognised like a change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, and I mean this in a good way, I'm a lot more selfish. I'm massively more selfish, because I know now the things that I can control and give an F about. Yeah. I know which ones they're the ones I can control. Yeah. So I pour all of my fire and energy into those things. The stuff I can't control, I don't really get so stressed about it now. You know, that would be the two things.
Great, and that probably feels nice mentally, right? It's interesting. I saw the sea this morning, and I looked at how calm it was, and I was thinking, like, I'm going to be starting to go in from next week, but I was looking at how calm the sea was, and I was thinking, imagine if every man's mind was that calm. Like, imagine if it was still, mill pond, the decisions that would be made would benefit the individual more, the relationships that would be saved, the productivity, the health ambitions. It would be, and like we spoke about at the start, the brain is so powerful.
Yeah.
But if you can, if you can learn to calm the mind, you can learn to be much more in control of your life with more consistency and clarity in the way that we're heading, right?
No, I totally agree. And I think just on that, it's so important, because a lot of people see health, fitness and nutrition as kind of the be all and end all. And actually that's just one part of it. You can't get the health, fitness and nutrition without the mental well-being and all the rest of the four pillars.
Yeah. Well, ironically, that's how I started that. All I used to do with guys is fitness programs and nutrition. And what I was frustrated at is that guys weren't showing up. And then I was like, why aren't I showing up? And then I started asking people, and then I started realizing a lot of these guys have gone through what I've gone through. Perhaps if I share my story and share my systems and the things that I did, like, if I'm honest, before I started the Dad's Coach, I was almost too afraid to talk about those things, because I thought everyone would go, "Oh, that's a shit system. What is that?" And then I started doing it, and people were like, "Oh my God, that makes sense." And I've just never, that's one of my things, is just breaking free from the shackles and just going, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to deliver I'm just going to document how I got myself back to growth. And that's it. And I think you're absolutely right. And when I looked at my four pillars, a lot of people's business and career model or pillar is very high. The time and energy that we spend in that pillar, the effort, the stress, the frustration that is given from that is huge. Most people don't even know what personal development is. They leave college, they leave university, and they stop growing. They stop educating themselves. They stop learning, researching. And I spoke about this with the boys on the previous one, and it's really about re-educating yourself how to live a life at 40. This, in theory, 28 days is re-educating men to be in more control of their time and their energy and their productivity and their personal management, and to go, it's okay not to like that kill yourself every single day at work to earn the dollar to pay for everyone.
Yes.
It's okay to have
Well,
that.
now,
Go on.
I was just going to say, now every day when I'm doing my planning, I always put in the bits for me first and the family first, and the work bits slot in second. And we've all got jobs, we've all got mortgages to pay, we've all got commitments, absolutely. But mentally, putting the stuff for yourself in first, you're already winning for the day, right?
100%. That's why I taught it that way to all of you guys. It's like you put your health in, you put your relationships in, your date nights, your commitments, then you put in your personal development, then you put in your work, because psychologically, when you do it every single week, that's 52 times a week, 52 times a year that you're doing your timetable, you're putting in your work last. I mean, unconsciously, you're not even realizing it. It's the last priority. Although, yes, we have to work. Yes, we have to earn money. I get like you just said there, but it's the last of our priorities. Job is you go and do your job, you do your hours, you do your roles and responsibilities, then you leave, and you base your work or your career or your business around your life, not your life and aspirations around your business. And when you do that, it's powerful because you're in more control, right?
100%.
Right, quick 5 questions for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
They're not bad. All right, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you how many women you slept with.
We wouldn't be here long, JB.
Throwing a curveball in there. All right, here we go. All right, so you've got to answer within 2 seconds.
Within 2 seconds.
Within 2 seconds. What makes you happy?
Just having a laugh. Having
Banter. What makes you sad?
People who are alone.
Yeah, me too. What makes you angry?
Bullying. Any sort of bullies.
Good. Fight or flight?
Fight.
Good.
Fight the bullies.
Fight the bullies. Biggest ambition?
To probably, I would say, look back in 10 years' time and think this is like the best thing I ever did to get to where I am now.
Good man. So what percentage are you running at today? As in right now in this chapter of your life?
Brutal honesty, probably 60 to 65%.
Okay, we'll fucking talk about that after. Final
80 to 90%.
Too late. Final message for anyone listening.
My final message would be just look. There's a lot of stuff that's out there, right, about health, nutrition, and what you should be doing, and all the rest of it. My message would be: this is a really good community that just effectively looks after you and really will really change the way you are and get you back to being you effectively.
Yeah, good man. Simon, I appreciate your time on a Friday afternoon. We'll keep talking afterwards about that 60 to 65% once we say goodbye to everyone. Guys, we're starting the 5-day challenge on Monday. It's still not too late to join us if you haven't. It doesn't matter if you've done it before. Just come and join us and look forward to you at the start line. Simon, thank you again.
Cheers, James. Nice one, mate.
I can't hear you singing, missus. We're singing Frozen. Sick of Frozen.